So the Chiefs might do it again, and everyone's going to be pissed about it. Let's talk about it, Michael.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up.
What's going on, Chiefs Kingdom? How we doing? Ladies and gentlemen, we are literally 1 week away from the NFL freaking draft. And that's crazy. Brett Veach took to the mic today to talk about it. And we're going to get to that. And we're going to talk about what he had to say and what it might mean. But before we do that, just wanted to say I appreciate you guys being here. Do us a favor and hit the like button. Help more people get in on this live stream tonight. And let's have a little bit of fun, shall we?
Yeah, let's have fun. Steve, I'm excited. The draft is 1 week from tonight.
It's crazy.
That's insane.
It snuck up on us.
Yes, that means Tuesday we'll probably do a live stream, and we'll probably do pretty much our entire rankings for defensive line and corner safety. Probably some linebackers, too. We might just do a top 5 of each position since we're running out of time. I think that'd be easy to fit in a bunch of players.
We got to cut it down. We don't have time
we'll just
for
go
10.
top 5 at each position. Brian Parrott gave me a pretty good idea. He said that maybe on this video or on this new one, since we haven't touched defense yet, that we should maybe take not necessarily our top 5, but maybe take 3 or 4 players off the board that we think will be gone, and then put about the players that we think fit at the end of the first round that the Chiefs could get that was defensively. So that way you're kind of rolling out like the top guys, like the Travis Hunters of the world that you're never going to touch, right? So I thought that was a good idea. That might help, settle it down. So shout out Brian Parrott for having a big brain idea there.
Hey, the sun shines on the dog's ass one time a day. So it's okay. Brian Parrott can have a good idea. That's great. But yeah, let's talk about this, man. Brett Veach was talking earlier today in a press conference before this draft coming up. It was good to hear him. And, you never know if Brett Veach is telling you what he's really thinking or if he's smoking mirrors, blowing smoke up your ass. You don't even know. You really don't know with him. I mean, last time they talked to him before the combine, he was like, hey, there's a lot of good linebackers in this draft. I'm really looking at a lot of linebackers. And then all of a sudden they're signing Nick Bolton back. So I don't know. You never know what to take away from what Brett Veach has to say.
They may still be looking at linebackers.
But yeah, Mike, what was your biggest takeaway from Brett Veach? Mine happened to be that they would be aggressive. If one of the players that they wanted were hanging around in the early 20s, they would be okay with trading up to get them. And that's kind of what I alluded to in the title of this video, is the Chiefs might do it again. He said he's got about 12 first-round grades. Got 12 players with a first-round grade.
Surprise, surprise, Steve. You know how many I have first-round grades?
30.
I have 11.
Oh,
Look at
harsher
that.
than Brett Veach.
This has not been a fun draft class for me. I said it was kind of a weaker class at the top, Steve, and I proved right.
So, and he also said that they were very interested in getting a big playmaker. As far as a receiver, he's all down for it, running back even. And that got some wheels turning in everybody's head, Mike. And one of the big topics today that I noticed on Twitter X, or whatever you like to call it, was they're going to get Luther Burden. And yeah, that's who's on the thumbnail for you guys that didn't know.
Yeah, a lot of people saying who's on the thumbnail.
Sometimes I like to trick them a little bit. It's like if I don't put this college uniform on this college player, they're not even going to know who he is. So we're just gonna let him be in street clothes.
I don't think half the people would know if you didn't put the Chiefs uniform on the Chiefs player. They wouldn't know half the players that you would pop up.
Right, but that got the wheels turning. Everybody's like, I think he wants Luther Burden. He wants a playmaker. He wants something electric, right? And they want to keep that pipeline of receivers coming in. And what if they traded up a little bit for another receiver in the first round? They just did this last year. And if they did do it, and then you're looking at a wide receiver core for Patrick Mahomes that included Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Luther Burden, that's going to piss some people off out there that's like, man, how many weapons does Patrick Mahomes need? Like that whole thing. And like they really let the Chiefs go out and get Luther Burden. You'll get all that. And I thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny idea. And how likely do I think that is? I don't know. I wouldn't say it's super likely, but
Steve, I'm going to say
it's
this.
a fun thought.
If they give up draft capital to go up inside of the 20s, let's just say they go up to 21.
And get a wide receiver. What if it's a Mega Egbuka
to get
or
Luther Burden? I'm actually going to be kind of irritated by it. I
you?
don't think it's that much of a need that you would give up more, possibly top 100 picks. But again, you don't really understand the Rashee Rice situation in full. You only got Hollywood on him 1 year.
Well, I don't know. I heard
Xavier
that
Worthy is always...
there was a lawyer out there telling everybody that
that's
he's
what we
not
hear.
going to get suspended. But.
And yeah, like Xavier Worthy, even he had an injury-free season, knock on wood, this year. But he is a tiny guy, and that could always bite him. You know, 1 or 2 bad hits on this guy, and he's going to get snapped in half. He weighs 140 pounds, soaking wet. So, I think we've said this. You have to keep going to the well at the wide receiver position. You got to keep doing that. But I feel like there's more glaring needs. But I'm not Brett Veach, and it is what it is.
Well, here's my opinion. I don't think they'll move up to take one of those playmakers. I don't think they're really going to move up unless it's for like maybe Josh Simmons is there and they are 3 picks out and they think someone might try to snake him. Maybe something like that. But I think as far as like Luther Burden or an Emeka Egbuka or even an Amarian Hampton or Travion Henderson, just somebody like an electric playmaker on the offense. I think if they're there at 31, then they will pull the trigger. But I don't think they'll trade draft capital to go up to get one of those guys.
Yeah. So here I got some clips of some of the key moments I heard from Brett today. And there were some subtle hints he threw around, and there were some not so subtle hints. This is the first clip I want to play, and let me know what sticks out to you, and everybody in the chat, let me know what sticks out to you guys.
We did lose Joe, and that late season move with Kingsley late in season, his start in Denver was promising. So we think we have some flexibility there with those guys. But again, I think the ongoing effort and pursuit to just get more consistent play on that left side was important to us. And I don't think that process will stop. We'll continue in the draft to address the offensive line.
So he was talking about Jalen Moore signing. And he said that they wanted to shore up that offensive line on the left side. The thing that stuck out to me there, Steve, was the aforementioned Kingsley Suamata'ia's spot start at left guard and the praise that he seemed to have given him. It wasn't like an all-out, like, he's our new left guard, right? But there's not been a lot of Kingsley Suamataia praise coming from this organization at all. Matter of fact, Andy just crushed his entire soul for the entire season. So I heard a lot there that could indicate that they are looking to keep Kingsley at a guard position, and maybe they're not sold with him on tackle going forward, and that they were going to address offensive line more in the draft. He didn't really say how early, how often, but we do know they're going to take that. I don't think it took a rocket scientist or a Brett Veach interview today for us to figure out they were going to go offensive line in this draft at least 1 or 2 times.
Right. Besides the dry mouth, that's what stuck out to me too, was that he needs to drink a little bit of water. You need to hydrate, Brett.
He's tired, man.
And he's probably just been drinking coffee and energy drinks. You know? Pure adrenaline.
He's drinking the tears of Bengals fans still crying.
No, but I noticed that too. That was the thing that stuck out to me, was him mentioning Kingsley Suamata'ia's start at guard. And a lot of people have just automatically assumed that that's Kingsley's spot, which is weird because why do they just give Kingsley spots all the time? like
right?
He's
Last
a left
time
tackle.
we give this cat a spot,
But no,
really work
and you know what? It didn't work out. But then again, like if there was more patience there and you didn't knock the kid and just crush his soul, because Trey Hendrickson, who by all means was the defensive player of the year in football last year.
And we knew he was going to eat his lunch.
Yeah, I mean, that we've talked about that time and time again, Mike. I don't know if pulling him that game was the smartest move. Now,
Right.
did it save them from losing that football game? Potentially. I mean, it was a close game. I think the Chiefs ended up winning by a field goal or something. So or maybe, I don't even know if it was that. But so yeah, maybe it was a smart move in the short term, but long term, I don't know if that was good for the psyche of a rookie like Kingsley Suamataia. And then you don't put him back in there. So it's like, I don't know. That's yet to be seen. And I think that there's still a lot more development for a player like Kingsley. And I think we knew that. I did, however, think that he would be able to go in and start and hold his own. but I don't think he got to play enough for us to know that, to be quite honest. He wasn't horrible in the first game, and then Trey Hendrickson beat the crap out of him, so it's just tough. And then we saw him sparingly throughout the year here and there, coming off the bench cold and going against speed rushers. Didn't work out too well, but I think a lot of the guys we have in the pipeline there need a lot of development. I mean, that goes all the way from Kingsley Selmataia and Wanye Morris all the way to Hunter Norzad, CJ Hansen. I think Mike Caliendo still needs more work, and I mean, he's had a lot of experience. So I don't know. I think we're in a good spot with that, and I think they'll continue to add to the offensive line as well, because why not? I mean, Brett Veach likes to overreact when he's got a problem. I mean, he did it last time that the offensive line didn't show up to the Super Bowl because everybody was injured, but he went out and went crazy in the next draft. That's where we ended up with Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith and everybody else, if I'm not mistaken. And they went and signed Joe Tooney. So, yeah, I think he'll definitely throw some draft capital at offensive line, no doubt.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he'll do that as well. Here's another clip of Veach that I thought was kind of interesting here. Since we're doing this, and we're going to touch on a lot of other things too. We're going to get to the chat in just a minute, but kind of wanted to go back and forth, pick Steve's brain here over this Veach thing. This one, he threw out some possible draft depth at certain positions, and there was one that he speaks on relatively early that I don't know if a lot of people were considering us drafting so early. So here we go.
I mean, it's probably safe to say, you guys know I always give you probably too much information on these Zooms, but I mean, O-line, D-line, and corner, I think the draft has some numbers. I mean, the O-line numbers are probably down a tick, but I think everyone has talked about the depth in the draft at the defensive line position, in particular defensive end. And then I think corner does have some sneaky depth there in the middle of the draft class. Maybe not as many high-end guys, but I think in years past, but I think there is some value there, and the level of drop-off I think holds from 2 to 3 to even into the early parts of 4. So, I think that would be a logical landing spot for us early in the draft, but I think we're always in the mindset too to, add players that we have graded as impact players, and certainly wouldn't shy away from continuing to add to our receiver room as well. So
look, right there at the very end, Steve, he said he was not opposed adding to the wide receiver room. Okay,
right.
Yet again, so this goes back to some of the Luther Burden stuff. But I thought him mentioning corner and having a very tight window on when they thought the value was, and basically it was 2nd to 4th round, and he said possibly to the 4th. So I would consider possibly that the Chiefs may be looking at one of those 2 round 3 picks. If they do not give those up, they could be targeting a corner that early. And it's kind of wild considering you just signed Christian Fulton. You're getting ready to make a deal. You're probably presumably going to sign either Josh Williams or Jalen Watson. I would think Jalen Watson's got the edge at this point. And then Trent McDuffie's getting ready to get a big deal. But it sounds like they might target corner right in there.
Mike, this doesn't surprise me a bit, because what did I tell you the other day when we did our mock draft 1.0? I did my mock draft and I put a disclaimer at the bottom of it when I sent it to you. And I was like, hey, there's this guy I just have this gut feeling about him. I think he's a Brett Veach guy. And that was Darian Porter, the cornerback from Iowa State. And I said I could see him maybe in round 3. That kid, he's 6'3", 195. Like, got all the freaking height, length, and the speed is there, a 4.3 40. I believe he was like the number 2 most athletic cornerback in the entire combine. Like, that kid's nuts, and he reminds me of L'Jarius Sneed type, like Kamal Haddon that we drafted last year. Of course, that didn't work out for different reasons, but he's that type of guy. And he also reminded me of like Darius Rush, which I think the Chiefs either signed for a minute or were talking about signing for a minute. But yeah, he just kind of has that rare length and speed combo. 6'2", 4.3 40, natural ball tracker. I think he could play at any of the positions. Elite special teams value there. He has 5 career blocked kicks, which is insane. That's a lot for a college career there. And he was a former track guy, so that's where he gets the speed from. Just he has all these little traits that just scream to me that the Chiefs would like this kid. And I had this weird gut feeling about it. And then all of a sudden, Brett Veach is talking about, hey, middle of the draft, there's some corners there. I think he's one of them.
I think Darian Porter, Steve, that's the first name that come to mind for me when I heard him saying this. Yeah. It was him.
Yeah. It had to be. I mean, I just told you about it the other day. I was like, dude, I don't know what it is.
There was something about it. It just, when I heard that, I thought Darian Porter. And one of my notes, he was one of the first guys I actually scouted on corners. And I haven't got through all my corners yet. I've only got through maybe like 10. He's obviously in my top 10. I think he's definitely a top 10. By the time he's done, he could be 5, 6, somewhere in that range. He was a receiver turned corner. And I didn't know that until I did a little bit of research. But I put a little asterisk next to his name, and I put that he is the poor man's, and not so poor man, but he's the poor man Travis Hunter. This kid could play offense or defense, I think. He's got all that speed. And I also found another one, too. It said on 7 targets into coverage. So when he covered a receiver over 20 yards of coverage, what just happened?
We lost your beautiful face.
Wait, what has happened here?
It's okay. Keep talking, baby.
It wanted to lock me out. It didn't like my comparison, I guess. Okay, but yeah, it said on 7 targets into coverage that traveled 20 or more yards downfield, Darian Porter only allowed a single open look and secured 2 interceptions on those. So out of 7 balls that he traveled 20 yards down the field, he picked off 2 of them and only allowed 1 open look. And I don't even know if the guy caught it. So the thing is Darian Porter has that knack, and he's got that size, he's got that speed. It was a very Brett Veachy, a very Dave Merritt,
it screams
type of guy.
Chiefs cornerback.
I really like him. And I think a lot of people will be pleased with the Iowa State product because it's got to be a lot of Cyclone fans out there, right?
Right. And if you don't know about him, I would suggest you later on tonight or whenever, just take some time and look him up. He's a very good corner. Really intrigued me, and I just immediately felt like it was a good fit for the Chiefs, and figured that they would like him. So check that out if you want to. But yeah, I think defense is definitely going to be on the mind there. I think you can't neglect one side of the football in the draft, especially when you have your team set up to kind of take best player available. I mean, right now they've kind of got the roster together to where they don't have to focus on one thing. So I think they could kind of spread this draft out and hit a lot of different things. And I think that's why Brett Veach is basically saying, hey, we're not going to be afraid to take wide receiver. We're not going to be afraid to do this. We like this. We like that. I think you saw it in my mock draft, Mike, but I think they might try to touch on the offensive line once or twice. I think they're definitely going to hit the defensive line. I think they're going to hit a skills player or two and probably a corner. I had them taking Melvin Smith in the 7th round at corner, but I really wanted to squeeze Darian Porter in there. And when I redo my mock draft, there's a good chance that I might be like, you know what? Maybe I'll take away just the personal thought of wanting to see Fannin Jr. as our tight end and put that aside and get Darian Porter in there instead. That might be the route I go. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a fun, interesting draft, man, for sure.
Right.
There's just so much that the Chiefs can do and so many directions they can go. And I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, Porter, speaking of Porter, just a few more things on him is I did notice that he was a liability in the run game. He didn't offer a lot of run support. And basically, I just feel like he's so slender. He's 6'4", 200, and that's pretty big size. But he was so slender that I felt like he had trouble getting off blocks here and there. And he's only got 1 year starter potential. So it is possible 2nd round, but 3rd round somewhere is the sweet spot if you want to look. And honestly, I believe the end of the 2nd round, somewhere around 60 to 75, I could see him coming off the board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think if I had a knock on the tape that I watched, I think he's still developing as a consistent tackler. Like, to me, he was like one of those guys. You remember L'Jarius Sneed's MO, right? Dive at their legs and miss tackles. Yeah. That's kind of what it reminded me of. He needs to get a little better with his tackling technique. But all in all, I just thought he was a really raw kid that was playing this position for only 3 years now. Like you said, he moved over from receiver. So he's only been playing defensive back for 3 years. So he's still learning some of the basics and trying to work those out, like backpedaling and transitions and stuff like that. So, I mean, for him to be as effective as he was while learning the position, I think there's a lot of potential there, high upside.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about with Veach was he mentioned a little bit about trading up or sticking. And I couldn't get a gauge of what I thought he would do because he mentions both. Just watch how he says this and tell me if you get a gauge either way.
That will be kind of our mindset again, and we'll see if it works out. I don't think it'd make too much sense for us to, we need all these picks and we need to add depth on multiple fronts and the secondaries and receivers. So trading multiple picks to just get one piece doesn't really make sense. But I think if a guy we really like does fall into the 20s and it's reasonable, I think we'll be aggressive. Otherwise, I think we'll be happy with adding players at each round and multiple players in 3.
So if there's a player they love, he could see them being aggressive in the early 20s. But he said something that I really caught my attention in that they need depth across the board and they need these picks. And if you're going to go up to pick 20, you're probably giving up another one of those top 100 picks, in my opinion, especially if you're going up into the early 20s from 31.
Unless you're doing a future pick, maybe.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think I lean more towards Brett Veach wants to be aggressive. It's a player he likes. And I'm still yet to figure out who a player that you would be that aggressive for. And the only one that can really come to my mind is Josh Simmons. That's the one. But at the same time, with all of his injury concerns, do you really risk all that to come up to take him?
Here's my advice. Here's my advice on that one. And, it's easy to laugh and be like Luther Burden. It's easy to laugh at that and be like, there's no way. But do you remember last year, as soon as Xavier Worthy ran a 4.240, everybody and their grandma and the entire planet was like, the Chiefs are going to get him.
Yeah, it almost just felt too easy.
Right. Well, guess what feels too easy again? Like everyone, the minute they see Luther Burden, he's a good fit for the Chiefs. So maybe you just go with the obvious. I mean, maybe obviously Matt Golden's not going to fall down. And he's actually, I've seen him in top 8 in a lot of drafts right now.
Yes, but I will say this. As much as Luther Burden was starting to slip to the late first and early into the second. He's going back
up a little.
He's coming back towards the middle half of the first. But again, if now he is rated in the top 15, but just so happens he were to slip, that could still be one of Brett Veach's top 12 first-round picks.
That's what I'm saying.
Talents.
If it's just a guy they like, that's what he said. And I thought it was funny, too, that when he mentioned moving in the draft or trading, the only one that he really alluded to and gave you any kind of idea what he was even thinking was trading into the 20s in the first round. He didn't say, oh, yeah, we can move up and down the boards at any given time in the draft. He literally went straight to, well, if one of our guys are there.
So doesn't that lead you to believe, though, that it might be the tackle?
No.
That's the glaring need. Do you think it could be a defensive tackle?
Mike, wasn't last year a tackle the glaring need that everybody was freaking out about?
That is true, man.
That's
But you've
what I'm
done
saying.
it once. Do you do it? Does lightning strike twice?
Mike, history repeats itself.
I guess so.
You know this.
Well,
I think sometimes
you
you can outsmart yourself.
Would you rather the Chiefs move up to say 20? Let's just pick an arbitrary number, 22. Would you rather the Chiefs move up to 22 and take Luther Burden or Josh Simmons if they were both on the board?
Who, me? Like personally?
Personally, and what would you think the Chiefs would favor?
Personally, it would be tough for me. Like, because I do think that they need to get like a Josh Simmons. I think he has potential to maybe be that starting left tackle going forward. But when you really kind of look at it objectively and you're thinking, hey, we already have a guy with Jalen Moore who is, well, more than capable and still has a lot of upside, that's no different to me than a first-round draft pick, Jalen Moore. Only the fact of the matter is Jalen Moore has more experience, and he was playing behind Trent Williams. And he came in and played in place of Trent Williams and did a respectable job. So it's like, this guy's already got experience. I kind of feel like no matter what they do, that Jalen Moore is going to start at left tackle. If they automatically just put Kingsley in there last year, I guarantee you
Jalen Moore's definitely starting at left tackle.
Absolutely. So if you already know you're starting Jalen Moore at left tackle, why spend a first-round pick on it? Why don't we get that shiny toy, the kind that Brett Veach loves to splurge for? I'm just saying.
Well, I guess you could play devil's advocate. You could say, look, Jalen Moore might not work out. This is for him to. He's now developed behind arguably one of the
Correct.
best tackles to ever play. So now you could let Josh Simmons develop behind him. But then you got to look and be like, well, is there not going to be a better guy next year you could splurge for?
That's something to think about too, right? So like if you're talking about starting Jalen Moore, then do you have to waste a first round pick? No, because I really don't think that's the case. I think the way they could be thinking is, hey, we have our guy. We're going to see how this works. And there are some good guys in the third and fourth rounds that we can take to kind of get behind there and learn as well. We've talked about a few of them, Mike. Ariante Ursery would probably go in the second round more than likely. But you also have Anthony Belton. You have Charles Grant. You have that huge kid from Iowa State or wherever.
Jalen Travis. You also have Cameron Williams that they've interviewed, and he's going to go around.
There's
the third
a lot
round.
of different guys in the middle of that draft that could develop into
That's
something.
true. They are looking at tackles. The guys they've interviewed are the guys that are sitting right around that late second, third round mark. They're interviewing the Jalen Travises and the
which
the
makes me
Charles,
think like, hey, if we're going to go with Jalen Moore here, then why are we going to waste a first round pick?
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good.
Also, just keep in mind that it could be a running back, whether you like it or not.
It could.
If Amarion Hampton fell into the low 20s, you don't think Brett Veach would even consider it? Or
I wouldn't do it. Brett Veach could do it, but I don't see what's changed in the NFL over the course of one season besides.
It's not
Barkley having a good year this
NFL.
year that now values running backs. All of a sudden, running backs are making a comeback all of a sudden.
Well, that's the thing. I think in this particular draft, I don't think it's going to be any different than it has been in prior years where you're seeing the top guys come off the board early and then you're not seeing the rest of them come off till third round even. Like Jalen Wright, was it last year or whenever? He should have probably been a little bit higher, but it's just people don't value the running back that way, so he went in like the third round, I think. But it's like Amarion Hampton is kind of borderline a generational guy. You have generational talent in Ashton Genty, and that's kind of one of those Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs types where you're like, you got to take them in the first round. It's just so much ridiculous talent.
Do you still feel like, though, the running back is – you can always throw out generational talent for running backs, especially early ones. But I feel like running backs tend to bust more than any position.
But do they? It kind of depends on the situation because Saquon Barkley, he was in a terrible position with the Giants, and I wouldn't exactly call him a bust if he would have never left the Giants, but he never would have hit his potential. You saw what he can do when you put an offensive line in front of him. Went absolutely crazy last year. He was knocking on the door of the freaking single-season rushing record. Like, it's insane. So, and then Bijan Robinson, he's in kind of the same position right now with the Falcons. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a move later in his career and start flourishing. I just think some of these guys have all the talent in the world, and if they can stay healthy, it's going to come to light. And my thing is it's not about the NFL as a whole. It's about the Chiefs, right? And I think that in order for Andy Reid to literally use his running back and to use the running game the way he needs to, he needs a game-changing running back that he can't ignore. Like, I think it's so easy to ignore Isaiah Pacheco. And it's not because he's not good. I love Isaiah Pacheco. I love the kid's attitude. I love the way he plays. I think he's good. I think he has a lot of talent. But he's a seventh-round pick. He's kind of a one-trick pony. He doesn't have great field vision.
It's easy to ignore him because of what you just said, the field vision. There's so many times that you may get a 30-yard run out of Isaiah Pacheco 1 out of every 35 carries, but you could go 20 straight where he runs up into the back of somebody and he falls forward for 3 or 4.
I have a hard time believing that if the Chiefs had a Saquon Barkley on their team or a Derrick Henry or even a Jahmyr Gibbs, I have a hard time believing that they wouldn't see a touch until almost the second half.
I think you got to find a guy that reminds you a little bit of like Brian Westbrook.
That's why I was leaning towards Travion Henderson.
Travion Henderson's got that. I think Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee's got that too.
Dylan Sampson does too.
There's two of the guys
I've
right there that I think
actually
have
seen some
that.
mocks that have Dylan Sampson moving ahead of Travion Henderson.
Yes, Dylan Sampson is very, very good.
That one to me is a little much.
Well, I didn't like his size. I thought he was a little one-trick pony on the size.
He's 5'8". He's tiny.
He's 5'8", 200, 210,
Yeah.
somewhere. He's right around Westbrook's size. And I mean, we know Andy's not afraid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to like Devin Neal. You know, they're like, Devin Neal, he reminds me of Kareem Hunt. But I think the Chiefs got pretty lucky with Kareem Hunt, to be honest. When Kareem Hunt come out, I don't think anybody ever thought he was going to set it on fire like he did.
No, I mean, what was he? He was a third-round pick from freaking Toledo or something? Yeah.
But he actually just played the part well. He still plays this offense well. That's why he looks so good. Looked like he never missed a beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, let's get to the chat, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
You hear that? Do you hear it?
I hear it. What do we got?
The Purge. Now we got Shane Boring with the 2-bomb. He says Kingsley needs another chance. Tons of potential. I agree. I think Kingsley needs more chances. Will they give him another chance at left tackle? Don't know. If they have to in a pinch, possibly. Do you think if they don't add another tackle to the team, Mike, and Jalen Moore starts and God forbid he gets hurt or has to miss a few games, do you think they go to Kingsley or do you think they go to Wanye?
I don't think they want to be in that position.
I get that, but
that's
if
why
they
I think they may draft another one. But
I think that's the only time you could see Kingsley.
I think I would have to let Kingsley try though. But where they took him late second, they did move up for him. They did take him late second, and if that just turns out to be a guard, then so be it. That's fine for a guard.
But Kingsley's going to get some shots, man. That kid's too good. K. Wayne with the 2-bomb says, "Let's freaking go." What's up, K. Wayne? Hope you're being safe out there, brother. Appreciate the 2. And then we got Dez the Gym, been a member for 15 months. He says McDuffie and Smith have the same agent. Does that help at all getting both deals done? Sorry if a dumb question. I don't think it's a dumb question. I think that's actually a pretty observant one, to be quite honest about it, because sometimes I think that if they do, if one agent has multiple players on one team, it does kind of help. Like, because they get that rapport with the management and they know how each other works. They know what each other's thinking. And maybe it's a little bit, to the detriment of maybe one of the clients. Sometimes it could be a little give, a little take. And, hey, we'll make this deal if we'll make this deal. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a legitimate question, Des.
Agents get a cut, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got 2 players there and you strike a deal with Veach on both, you could feasibly, by getting 2 players signed, make more money.
Rack up right there, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So pretty good question.
Yeah, for sure. Got that train rolling in, baby. Our boy Peter Ortiz, the freaking legend himself, with 5 gifted memberships. If you guys get one of those, make sure to thank him in the chat. Peter's a freaking legend. Growing the ACU crew, donating, helping the channel out. We appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much for that. It is the down time of the year, right? This is the depths of hell of the offseason. We're a week away from the draft, and maybe it'll lighten up a little bit after the draft. Because after the draft, it's not too long, and you'll have like rookie camp and the OTAs, and you'll get into camp, and then like things start to heat back up. But this last month has just been dreadful as a football content creator. Let me tell you, Chiefs Kingdom, they went into hiding after that ass beating in the Super Bowl. And a lot of people didn't even want to think about football. But of course, we've had like our core group, like the hardcores of the world out here that we're still here every day talking about Chiefs football. But a lot of us are in hiding and don't want to show our face yet. You think the draft might change that though? Like maybe they'll have something to get a little horned up about and get back into it.
Yeah, I think people want to see who the Chiefs drafted. A lot of people don't have time to put all that effort into it. So they're just like, why should I try to learn 300 players when we're going to draft 5 or 6? So then they're going to wait for us to tell us what we like and dislike about those 5 or 6.
Right.
And that's completely fine and completely understandable. Where I kind of have my problem is you got a few slapnuts, Steve, that come over in the offseason and they tell us that they don't like what we talk about in the offseason. We're not allowed to talk about the Chiefs in the offseason because we're talking about rumors.
Don't speculate.
Or speculation or this
Isn't
or
that what the offseason's
That's not
for?
allowed. You're not allowed to speculate in the offseason, Steve.
Yeah, my favorite comments, by the way, they make me happy, is when there's always that one dumbass that's just like, well, I'm sure that the management will be reaching out to you about your opinions. And it's like, are we not allowed to have an opinion because we're not on the payroll? But if that's the case, no fan can ever open their mouth. Like, what are we talking about? Like, you have to live a miserable life to leave that comment, right? Like, you suck.
Wait, so if we don't, okay, feasibly, I see it. There's a few channels in Chiefs Kingdom that don't really give opinions.
Let me tell you something.
They just kind of go with the flow, and they don't want to offend nobody. But that's not us. That we didn't start this for that.
Who cares?
I'm giving my opinion.
If you get offended by someone's opinion about football, then you're an idiot anyway. No one has time for you. And here's the thing, Mike. I don't think that we're smarter than management. I don't think we're smarter than Andy Reid and the coaching staff. I don't. But if that guy wants to really get into it, if they probably took our advice on some of these draft picks, we'd probably hit a lot better than they did.
Hey, I know we would hit more receivers.
I'm just saying. So, maybe knowing that much can sometimes be a detriment. They just need to take a step back and be like, you know what? Puka Nacua would be a cool one to take a shot on.
Well, look, even Brett Veach, he thanked his scouts and everything. So there are people reporting to Brett Veach. Brett Veach isn't watching hours and hours of film on all these guys either. They're getting suggestions from people, and then they're making them fit. So
yeah, those scouts didn't tell him to draft Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I was sure preaching it. They weren't telling him to draft Puka Nacua, but Mike was saying it. I mean, hell, we could have had a Pro Bowl team by now.
Maybe his scouts were telling him to draft Sky Moore and McCole Hardman over DK Metcalf.
Yeah. What?
Fire the scout. Fire the wide receiver scout. Look,
I take back everything I said. We're smarter than
everybody said that Matt Nagy needs to go and that Connor Embry needs to go. No, our wide receiver scout needs to go. That's the guy that we put all the blame on from here on out.
Well, apparently
right?
the offensive tackle scout too, any kind of offensive line. But
all the offensive scouts.
Out. I think the offensive line scouts get away with it because they hit so well on the interior there with Creed and Trey Smith and stuff.
Well, that was 2.
Yeah, but that's a big 2. I mean, that was killer.
Well, it's a big 1 right now. We don't have the other one signed just yet.
Yeah, true. Shout out Dez at Jim with the 2 bomb. He says, I must know what you guys think about Ward and Sanders.
Man, I love Charlie Ward. Remember him back in the day?
He played for the Knicks.
Yeah.
And the Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what about that, though, man? Prayers for those kids down there in Florida State. What the hell happened? I didn't look into it, but I heard some things.
Feels a little weird. I'm not one for conspiracies, but it feels a little weird.
Yeah, a little strange, right?
Go for it. The timing's kind of weird. Okay. Yeah, this is what I'll say. Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders. I'm not a huge Shadur Sanders hater, but I'm not a Shadur Sanders truther either. I think the kid can play, and I think he's got some decent qualities. And even this last year in Colorado, he had to run for his life. So I think Cam Ward was in a better position. His offensive line was better. The offense in general was, I think, better. But, yeah, I think Ward's probably the better, safer pick. But I think Shadur actually has pretty high upside. The thing about Shadur I don't like is his attitude's going to be the detriment of him.
Of course.
He's too cocky. He's too arrogant. And you want some of that a little bit, but you don't want a guy that seems uncoachable, bigger than the city, bigger than the franchise.
Well, my dad said.
Yeah, we don't care what your dad says, okay? This ain't Little League travel ball.
Remember that guy that our friend Slug used to call Dad said?
Yeah, my dad said.
Yeah, he's like, he literally says that about everything. So he just called the guy Dad said.
He's like, here comes Dad said.
That's Shadur Sanders. And here's my thing about Cam Ward, Mike, is I told you last year, I don't think Caleb Williams is it. I don't think he's what everybody's talking about.
You hate that Caleb Williams kid, don't you?
I don't hate him. I think he's decent, and I think he'll get better. But they were acting like he was going to come out and light the world on fire, and he's the next Patrick Mahomes. And they're doing the same thing with Cam Ward, and I feel the same way about that. Like, I just don't see him doing a whole lot, especially early. And it's like, to be quite honest, I think this is a shit draft for quarterbacks. If I was drafting a quarterback this year, I'd be pretty upset.
There's one kid out there, and he's getting a little bit, but he didn't get as much attention as I thought he should have. And he's, again, out of our rival, Tyler Shuck, out of U of L. That kid can throw. He's got an arm on him, and I think that kid could be a gem in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds.
Weren't they talking about the Louisville quarterback cracking the top, like in the 1st round?
Are they finally giving him props now?
Yeah. They were talking about that.
It needs to be.
Yeah, they were.
Well, needless to say, I haven't really been keeping up with quarterback rumors. I don't think the Chiefs need one.
Nah, I think we're good.
But that kid right there from the very beginning was one that I said that you should watch.
If you listen to other football fans and the media, we might want to trade up and get one, because Patrick Mahomes is cooked, right?
Yeah, I mean he's cooked. He's probably on the
Terrible.
downside.
Yeah, his career's over.
Hey, I had a fun question, and this is the dumbest question ever. It really is. It's dumb. It's just stupid, but it kind of like puts things into perspective. Steve, give me a team in the NFL. Just say one team that needs a quarterback. Go. Just give them to me. Not AFC West. Actually, they can be AFC West. Go for it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're just gonna leave it open like that, we can go with the Raiders, right?
Okay, the Raiders. Let's not go with the Raiders. The AFC West are too much. Let's just go with the Giants. They need a quarterback, maybe.
I feel like you pre-planned it to be the Giants.
It don't have to be. Let's take the Browns.
Okay.
Just a quarterback needing team. Maybe it's Mike Borgonzi and the Titans even.
Right.
If they said they would give you every pick this
No.
year, next year, and the next year, would you give up
No.
Patrick Mahomes?
No, that's the stupidest thing
For
I've ever
17 picks, would you give up Patrick
heard.
Mahomes?
Like, they could try to give you planet
I'm
Earth.
just saying.
No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Let's not talk about it.
There's
There's no way. There's nothing that can make me trade Patrick Mahomes.
I understand that. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, so draft picks are fun, but when you've got a proven commodity, it's hard to get rid of it. Because out of
Seriously.
all 17 of those picks,
I'm being
those could be 17
serious.
first-round picks, and you may never hit another Patrick Mahomes.
I'm being 100% serious with you. Like, a team could be like, I'll give you our next 20 years of first-round picks. And I'd be like, go to hell. Get out of my face.
Wow. That's crazy. That's wild, though.
That's not crazy. That's insane. You have the greatest quarterback to ever play football.
Let's just play devil's advocate here.
What are you trying to get
Mahomes
with the
is
first-round
awesome.
picks if you don't want the greatest quarterback to ever play football?
Mahomes is amazing, but check this. It's Andy Reid. And if Andy Reid's here, he got freaking Alex Smith in a position where he could have got to a Super Bowl. So now if you put all that draft capital into that with a quarterback just as good as Alex Smith, that can maybe overachieve in an Andy Reid system.
Like, here's the thing, man. I've told you before, and you know this. I liked Alex Smith quite a bit with the Chiefs, and I liked him a lot more than you and Pops did. And here's my thing. I think Alex Smith could have got the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Maybe. I don't think he could have won one. I don't think if they didn't get Patrick Mahomes.
Would you have taken
chance.
Alex Smith with Andy Reid? So let's just say the year that he led the league in deep ball percentage, right? Because everybody said he couldn't throw the deep ball, but he actually did it. I think it was the Jeremy Maclin year.
No, Tyreek Hill and
so who would you
might
look?
have been Maclin.
Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl this year. You're telling me would you take Jalen Hurts over that year, Alex Smith?
No, Jalen Hurts is overrated.
So then, how do you think that he couldn't win a Super Bowl?
Like, here's the thing. I was actually talking about this earlier today. Jalen Hurts, go back. You can go look at the stats.
You are
can go
the
look
biggest
at this
Jalen
now.
Hurts hater on the planet.
I'm not a Jalen Hurts hater. The kid doesn't upset me at all, actually. I don't dislike him. But he's not special like that. Like, is he a winner? Sure, you can say that, right? Because he did play one of his best games in the Super Bowl. But, I mean, typically what you get from Jalen Hurts is mid-tier quarterback. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. And by all means, both of those teams were Pro Bowl teams. Like, on this Eagles roster, Jalen Hurts might have been one of the worst players at his position on the offense. If you go through piece by piece.
Boy, you hate Jalen Hurts.
No, I'm not. But, like, if you go through piece by piece of that Eagles team and you're like, where does A.J. Brown rank in receivers? Okay? Or where does Lane Johnson rank in tackles? Or where does so-and-so rank in this? I guarantee you that almost that entire offense would rank higher in their respective position than where Jalen Hurts ranks. And I don't think that's arguable. Saquon Barkley,
maybe tight
number
end.
one running
He
back.
may have beat the tight end.
That's about it. Maybe their new center. Like, like that's it.
But
Like,
he loses if Kelsey would have just came back. He lost. He lost that one too. Steve, let's bring this up one more, and then we'll keep taking chats. I found this. This is kind of the same way. That was a ridiculous Patrick Mahomes question. I understand that. But this is what it reminded me of, and this is what I thought about. Check this one out. I'm bringing it up if it'll work. Kent Swanson. Our boy Kent Swanson.
Kent.
He said, listen to this. Trade-up partner that makes sense if the Chiefs wanted to go big time, Steve, that he was making a big move. Atlanta Falcons. An NFC team that may be more apt to deal with us. They don't have a ton of picks, so they may be looking to get more. The draft math works well, as picks 31, 63, and 95 would be fair value for pick 15. Is Kent Swanson suggesting we trade 31, 63, and 95 for pick 15?
I hope not.
That's exactly what he's suggesting.
I mean, come the hell on.
Who in the hell in this draft at pick number 15 is worth giving up three picks?
Well, according to Brett Veach, none probably. So
0, says Brett Veach. This is what. Look, Kent Swanson had to be smoking some crack that day or something.
right.
Maybe he's just baiting people online for click farm. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He cannot really seriously believe there's anybody this thief. Would you give up those 3 picks for Travis Hunter? He's arguably the best player in the draft, right? Would you give him up for? I don't think I could.
No, I don't know. I don't think.
I
so.
don't know what Travis Hunter's going to look like, and I also, if he wants to play both sides of the ball, the wear and tear on his body is going to be so immense. And I know people will say, well, he's going to play a lot of defensive snaps. And he may only play 10 to 15 offensive snaps. I don't care.
I wonder if
It's too much.
I wonder if the guys on that channel or some of the other ones get the same stupid comments we get where they're like,
They have to, Steve.
y'all don't know what you're talking about. Because if they don't and they're suggesting stuff like that, but we get those people, that kind of pisses me off a little
Look,
bit.
love Casey's words. Like Kent Swanson, don't have a problem with him. But if he is honestly suggesting pick 31, 63, and 95 would be fair value for pick 15, who are you trading up and giving away 3, your first, second, and third round pick for at pick 15? Josh Simmons? He's not worth that coming off an ACL injury. Who could it be? Will Campbell?
Willie Roaf's back in the draft.
Yeah, I'm honestly having trouble who he's targeting at 15. And I'm with you. If there wasn't a bunch of trolls in the chat telling them they don't know what they're talking about,
I'm kind of upset.
I'm upset because me and you hit a lot of stuff, Steve, and we get 0 credibility. And I swear to God, just because you're a conglomerate, multi-million-dollar business, you can
Right.
get away with it.
If we just had a boss that started our channel for us.
I need a boss. We need a boss. Do we need a boss?
We need a boss, man.
Who's the boss? Tell
Here's
me
the
that.
boss, Shane Boring, baby. Been a member for 18 months, and he says Patrick Mahomes is 1 in 15 quadrillion. 1 in 15 quadrillion, I think is what he was meant to say. But that's the truth, man. It's like you just said, what are you trying to get with pick 15 if you're trading all that stuff for pick? What are you trying to get with any draft pick if you're trying to give up Patrick Mahomes for draft picks?
You're trying to get a game changer, the best player on the planet, and you got him.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. That's what I'm saying. If you have it already, what are you trying to attain with other picks to get that? That makes no sense.
But
You understand, right?
But the media says he's washed, Steve. So you get rid of what now that he's washed.
Look, I got something for you. I'll go and throw this out early. I'm gonna throw it out early. The draft hasn't even taken place yet.
Oh, you're about to predict Patrick Mahomes' season, aren't you?
Yeah, let me tell you.
Oh,
I'm gonna tell you guys 2 things right now. And
Andy.
look, I'm gonna tell you 2 things. Okay, let me get Shane's thing off here. Appreciate you, Shane.
He said, "Shane, get out."
Sorry, I
And then he
don't know
said
how I
this.
clicked. I don't know how I clicked that
Already
one.
read that one.
I don't know how I clicked that one. But let me tell you 2 things. I'm going to go ahead and tell you 2 things that are going to happen next season. And we haven't even been through the draft. Okay? Barring some kind of catastrophe. Mike. I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to be the MVP next season. Patrick Mahomes is also going to take the Chiefs back to the Super Bowl again for the 4th time in a row. And let me tell you why, okay? Everybody that hates that, which nobody here hates that. Everybody here is horned about that. But all those people out there that think Patrick Mahomes is cooked or whatever, let me remind you the last time Patrick Mahomes took a big loss in the Super Bowl. Well, guess what? It pissed him off. And what did he do the season after that? MVP. What did he do? And then what did he do after that? 3 Super Bowls in a row. Okay, he's in that pissed off mode, Mike. He cut the effing hair. He cut the beer belly. He's laser focused. You don't see him out partying. You don't see him out joking around. He's not happy. He played his worst game as an athlete. Not just his worst football game of his life, as an athlete. I'm counting baseball, basketball, football, freaking volleyball, and PE class. He played the worst game as an athlete in the Super Bowl on the national stage and got embarrassed in front of a record-setting crowd. He's about to go scorched earth and show everybody who's daddy.
I like
Go
it.
ahead and put your bets in. I think it's 850 to 1 odds that he wins MVP next year. Put a hundo on that, win $850. That's all I'm saying.
I think you'd win more than that, wouldn't you?
I don't know, something like that.
With 100, you'd win like $850,000 or something.
No. It's
You did
850 to 1.
1?
Yeah,
So 8,500?
sure. That might be it.
I don't know.
I don't do
I
math.
suck at math. Here we go. Let's get back to the draft a little bit, Steve. We've talked a lot about whatever. If you guys tuned in the other day, we give our first mock drafts, and we both went through it. We had fun going back and forth on there, Steve, and we both thought that they would go tackle early. You went first round, I went second. Again, if you take what Brett Veach says, is it more likely that they just sit still and take a tackle somewhere, or do you think they'll be aggressive to go get one? And if so, why?
I don't even know what you asked me because it's all Shane's comment.
I said, do you think they'll be aggressive in getting the tackle, or do you think because of the way they've interviewed and what Brett kind of said today about needing those picks, do you think they just kind of sit on the tackle a little bit?
I think they sit on the tackle a little bit. And me saying that doesn't mean I don't think they'll draft one or maybe two. Probably just one, though, if I had to guess. I think kind of what I was saying earlier. If they're dead set on Jalen Moore starting at left tackle and they have faith that he's going to do well over there, I think they still try to get a bit of an insurance plan, like some guy that can get behind him, develop, maybe take a shot on Anthony Belton or a Charles Grant or Jalen Travis or whatever his name is. And then there's several guys that they're long shots, but they could. Why, if you already know who you're starting over there, why would you feel the need to be aggressive to go up and get someone that should start at left tackle? You know what I'm saying? So I think that they would be more aggressive towards explosive playmakers. And here's my reasoning. If you look at the defense for the last 3 years, they've been top 5. At least at one point in the season, they've been a top 5 defense. I think they still will. I think they'll supplement the Turk Wharton loss. I think they'll get a defensive
Turk
lineman.
Wharton was not the reason they've been top 5
No,
generally by
but
himself.
All I'm saying is I think they will supplement what they've lost. They went out and signed Christian Fulton. They raised the ceiling or raised the floor, I should say, in the cornerback room. I think safety should be okay. We lost Justin Reed. But I think we have guys that can play. Everybody should be super excited about Jaden Hicks playing a little bit more because that kid's amazing. The linebackers are good. They got Nick Bolton back. Drew Tranquil's still here. Leo. I think this is where you're like, hey, our offense has sucked ass for like 2.5 years, right? Like we have the best quarterback to ever play football, and we can't get a first down in the Super Bowl. Like, this is where you're like, hey, if we're going to be aggressive, let's go ahead and stack up the playmakers. And whether that be a Luther Burden or a Mecca Egbuka or a Marion Hampton or a Travion Henderson or a Quinshon Judkins, it doesn't matter. But somebody that can come in and make a difference, like a big-time difference. Even if they were to be like, hey, you know what? We're going to take a shot on this Fanning Jr. kid. We're going to get a tight end that can potentially go off and put up 1,000 a year. Or that runs the football like a running back with the ball in his hand. Like, let's get a tight end that hurdles people, like freaking Saquon Barkley. How about that? You know, like, they might do that. But I just think, to me, invest in your offense right now because that's what's been killing you. And of course, you have to keep the pipeline of the defense going. You have to draft some defense, right? You can't just neglect it. But I think if you're going to go aggressive, and I think if you're going to go early and you're going to try to get game-changing stuff right now, you go offense. And that's just because they've been stagnant as hell. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Jalen Moore thing kind of, in a way, it's kind of like having a rookie because he's not really played a lot, but he's got to develop. And so you got 3 years. I think they've got an out there after 2. So it's not like you're going to get 4 plus a 5th-year option on him or anything, but you also pay a little bit more for him. But I do think they're going to let Jalen Moore have a very fair shot here to see what he's got.
Absolutely. And the more I think about it, the more have you gone back and watched his tape from when he played in San Francisco? What he was able to do when he was starting there?
A few of the games, yeah. What did he start 7 times? I think I watched 2.
I think he'll be okay. I do. I feel pretty good about it.
He's got a decent, he's got a good quick step off the line.
I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. I would feel completely okay with saying you're already in a better position than you were at the beginning of last season at left tackle. Because
he's head and shoulders above where Kingsley was last year.
And Wanye. And I'll take you
sure.
one further. I think that he's already better than what you had 2 years ago with Donovan Smith. So I really do think we've already took a step up at left tackle. Now, will he be the long-term, just that's the guy we're going to have for the next 10 years?
I think that's what they're hoping for.
I hope, but is he? That's questionable. But the fact that we've upgraded there, I don't think is. Is it as big of an upgrade as people have want? Maybe not. But is it as big of an upgrade as they could get? I think so.
Right.
But I do think they have improved that position. So I don't think they have to laser focus on left tackle. I don't.
I hear you. Okay, man. Well, check this. We've done all of our offensive rankings. We've done running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, and tackles. And next week, we're going to try to get to the defense as much as we can before the draft. But how about we have a little fun? You know what we've not done yet? We've not talked about my guys, or we've not talked about guys that we like at each position that maybe didn't crack our top 10. So let's go through each position and give a guy or two that we actually like and maybe do that. That'll be kind of fun.
I like
for a
that
few
idea,
minutes.
Mike. I like that idea, and we're going to get to that. But before we do that, appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like button. Share it with a friend. Tell people to get off their ass and get back to football. And also, Mike, if you hear that, we have some chats we haven't got to yet. So we're going to get those, and then let's get into my guys. Mike, we got a freaking 2-bomb from Dez that says Andy needs to find another prime Shady McCoy. I think that's kind of a sentiment from a lot of people, and I like the idea too. It's like, it doesn't have to be technically someone's just like Shady McCoy, but just somebody that is a big enough game changer and a big enough playmaker to where Andy can't ignore him.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier. It's like, if you get a guy that can...
Shady wasn't necessarily a big guy either, was he?
No, he's small.
When he come out, let me see what his numbers were when he come out.
He was like a little, like, to me, he's like a little, you know...
When he come out, his official weight and height at the NFL Combine was... It's loading. Give me a second.
He's a little steamroller, right? He was just kind of short and stocky.
5'10", 198. He's sub 200.
Yeah.
So, again, that opens up a lot of possibility with some of the guys in this year.
Yeah, I just think it doesn't matter
Dylan
what
Sampson
mold they fit.
sticks out to me so many times.
And Henderson, too.
Yeah.
Even Judkins at that height and weight. I mean, so...
Judkins is 220, though. He's got a lot to his frame.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's ripped. He looks like a statue.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But, yeah, I agree, Des. I think they need that. I think Andy needs that to maybe get his head back on straight and start running the football. Then another 2 from Des. It says, would you trade up for Loveland? Not to 15, though. No, I wouldn't even trade up a pick for Loveland, honestly. Just
yeah, I mean, he could get it into our system and be okay, but...
Okay, I don't think Loveland's bad, don't get me wrong, but I would not even take a pick 31 on Loveland. And it's not just because of it's Loveland. It's just I don't think tight end is that important right now. I don't. I think Noah Gray, even if Travis went down and couldn't play all year, I'm completely happy with Noah Gray playing. And then we don't know what Jared Wiley has to offer yet. So maybe we can get him back healthy.
Yeah.
I'd say take a shot. If the highest shot I would want to take would be Harold Fenton Jr., 3rd round, 4th round. And that's pushing it, right?
Yeah, I mean it depends.
Now here's a more
they
interesting
know more about
one.
Wiley than we do, though. Like I think they know what they got or what they don't with Wiley.
What about Warren though? If Warren were to fall to 31, do you think about that?
I mean, do you need a guy to play Wildcat in the offense because that's your boy?
No, but
half of
seriously.
his numbers was literally just playing.
No,
Wildcat.
but I'm just saying to me he's head and shoulders above Loveland. If you watch the tape.
Yeah. He's more like your full tight end. Loveland's kind of like a receiving tight end, which is the Kelsey thing, though.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Des. Peter Ortiz with a 2. Appreciate you, too. He says, Mike, it's time to seek help.
For
Mike,
what?
I think you're just being wild tonight. You're saying some things like, would you trade Patrick Mahomes?
I didn't ask because I wanted to. I just give you the hypothetical situation to see if you value draft picks or the player.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was an easy one.
There's tons of people out there that would be like, oh, you would take 17
yeah,
draft picks.
they're
over
called
anybody.
Bills fans. They're delusional.
Yeah, true. But I'm just saying it. I mean, I don't really believe it, but
He's just messing with you anyway. TGZ with the 5-bomb says, Steve, I'm going to blame you when my boss asks why I'm so tired and horned tomorrow morning. PM15
Steve, I've set
MVP.
you
Let's
up tonight.
go.
I've set you up tonight.
Set me up to be the good guy.
Yeah, I've set you up to be the good guy tonight because I've give you all the easy. I've underhand lobbed you some stuff that you could literally horn everyone up and then try to pin it back on me as if I was the one that wanted to get rid of Patrick Mahomes.
You threw me a 90-mile-an-hour fastball right down the pipe. And I knocked that bitch out the park, baby. I smacked a homer with it.
And somehow I got in trouble.
That's what you get. That's what you get. Appreciate DGZ. Pete Ortiz with another 2 says Noah is Travis's replacement. I agree. I think he's been prepping to do that for 3 years now. And I think that is how it's going to be. Now, if they were to go and find a playmaker, like if, say, they go with my route and they're like, we'll try Fannin Jr. He looks intriguing. It's just a ridiculous athlete. Crazy production in college, by the way. Just so many things to like about that guy. Like, I've not really ever seen a tight end run the ball like him after the catch. It's different. Like I said, he looks like a running back with a ball in his hands. He also set records for single season yardage. He has the highest ever PFF score for a college tight end. Like, if they were to grab somebody like that, Peter, if he fell to the 4th round, which I don't think he will, he's probably going to be a 3rd. If he were to fall and they were to take him and all of a sudden you hit a home run, then maybe Noah's not the replacement. But I still think Noah's going to get his fair share. He's been prepping for that position for a while. And I mean, quite honestly, we saw it in small doses last year. I thought it was weird they kind of went away from it. But Noah Gray was killing it early in the year. And then all of a sudden, they weren't using him that much. It was strange. So I don't think you're wrong, though, Peter. I do think that's their intentions. Mike, let's get to your little idea here, man. Let's talk about some my guys. And you wanted to go position to position? Is that what you wanted to do?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's both give like 2 or 3 running backs. Let's start with running back.
Okay, and while we do ours, we want you to throw yours in the chat. So everybody that's watching, just put your my guy at that position in the draft. Like, who would you like to have if it was up to you? So yeah, what do you want to start with?
Let's start with running backs.
Running back, my guys. In a perfect
you could do my
world,
guys, or you could just do somebody that people's not talking about right now.
Well, there's one guy that we haven't talked about that I think could potentially be my favorite running back in the draft, but I just don't know how he'd be utilized in Kansas City, and that's Caleb Johnson from Iowa. I think that he is a very reminiscent of a Derrick Henry. I'm not saying that's massive shoes to fill, and I understand that comp's kind of crazy, but I feel like he has that body type. He runs that way. The longer it goes in the game, the more he's going to beat the hell out of a defense. He's going to wear them down. The kid's awesome. Like, I like him a lot, but I just don't know how he'd fit in with the Chiefs. And then if we're talking later round guys, I like Taj. What's his last name?
Taj Boyd.
Tech. Boyd. Yeah, is that his name?
Yeah.
I like him.
Taj Brooks. I'm sorry.
Brooks. That's it. So I knew
Taj
Boyd
Boyd.
wasn't right. I knew that wasn't
I'm
it.
out of it today. Yeah. It was the B.
No, I like his speed, and he's just kind of intriguing. But Ollie Gordon as well. Ollie Gordon's fun. Those would be my late guys. But early, honestly, my guys that I like for the Chiefs is probably Henderson. Probably, honestly,
right.
I think he fits the best.
I think you meant to say Taj Brooks' speed's a concern for you because he stunk. But
game speed is good. Now I understand what he ran, but watch the tape.
I mean, I don't know. He still looked kind of like just.
He does not look
like he's
slow.
a quicksand.
He does not look slow on tape.
I'll give you this. There's a few guys at running back that I kind of like. I've already talked about him a little bit tonight, but I think Dylan Sampson fits what we would do pretty nicely. But I'm not going to say him because he's right at the top. Brashard Smith out of SMU would be fun.
I've seen that one in the chat too.
He's a little tiny at 194, so maybe you could put something on him.
You're talking about Dylan Sampson.
Yeah, what about it?
You're gonna call Smith tiny after you're talking about Dylan Sampson.
Well, I mean, he weighed in at 200 and he's 194. So, I mean, you would think 6 pounds is not a lot, but could be. But anyway, Honestly, I don't think it really matters. I think they could get any of them. I mean, give the guy a couple donuts and he's fine to go, right? Like, I think they're getting anybody in the weight room. They're doing it. There's a guy that I really like out of Syracuse. I just like the way he runs, LaQuint Allen. He is like just a workhorse. He's 6'2", 204, but he plays like he's Jerome Bettis. Like, he will run you over. He will destroy you. He was fun. I thought Marcus Yarns out of Delaware, who was 5'11", 193, another small guy. But coming out of Delaware, he's got to catch the attention of like Brett Veach and them, right? That's their alma mater. So I think he's on there.
You like Bashal Tootin?
Bashal Tootin's got qualities I like, but when he's bad, he's very mediocre. And then when I seen some good tape of him, he looked pretty good. He's 5'9", 206. He looked okay. The last guy I kind of wanted to talk about, and nobody's kind of talking about this kid, and that's why I wanted to bring this up. Corey Kiner from Cincinnati. Okay, he went to LSU. He played one season, didn't do too well. He was behind whoever. He was Ohio's Mr. Football. I'm talking he was a beast in Ohio. Went to LSU. He comes back in Cincinnati. He gets back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and that kid is a monster. You cannot tackle him. He is punishing. I want to say he had 80 missed tackles this season, which ranked 4th in the NCAA. He's just flat out a guy that will go out there and just consistently pound the rock, and he's got some game speed that I think does work. He's got great balance, great everything. He is one dude that I really, really like. And I don't think he's got any ball security issues. He don't have none of that. Like, no glaring weaknesses on this kid. I don't know why he's not being talked about around round 4, round 5, round 6. And he may be like that hidden hot commodity that nobody's just talking about because they're all trying to keep him secret so they can draft him. But Corey Kiner from Cincinnati is a guy that I think everybody should put on their radar. He could be a stud.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on. Let's talk about receivers. Receivers are always fun to talk about, right?
Yeah, go for it.
So my guys in receiver. Well, we're going to skip the big names, right? We'll
Oh
go
yeah,
on
for
down the
sure.
board. I think for me, we've already talked about one of my guys, and that's Isaac Tesla from Arkansas. He's 6'4". He run a 4.3 40. He was the top ranked wide receiver in athleticism in the combine, and no one's talking about him. Really just because of production, right? Because he only had one decent year of production in Arkansas, but just the pure athleticism and what you could do with a guy like that, it's intriguing. It has to be. Mm-hmm. Like, it's crazy that no one's talking about him. And then if you want to go the opposite end of the spectrum, there's a kid from Miami that I kind of like, Mike, that is slow as hell. Xavier Restrepo.
Yeah, Restrepo. He's just your stereotypical slot guy, right?
Yeah, put him in the slot. He's a technician. He's like a Julian Edelman type guy, but his route running's so freaking tight. He makes a way to get open, and he's reliable as hell. And like, he ran like a 4.8 40, by the way. Like, I think he fell down.
Yeah.
But
he
like,
rolled half the way.
Like, something happened there. Like, he had a wiener like Chris Jones and it weighed him down. I don't know. Something happened. But yeah, if you watch his tape though, he's just like a solid, reliable target. And I think because of his lack of speed, he's overlooked. And I think he's a good receiver.
I like him. Okay, I'll throw one out. If you got another one, we can just keep going back and forth. I think there's a kid out of Georgia that's kind of under the radar because he drops the ball a lot, but he's got some game-changing speed. 6 foot 180, Arian Smith out of Georgia, and he went to, I want to say it was one of the bowls, and he actually showed some game-changing speed. It would not surprise me if he wasn't a target for somebody in like round 6, round 7, maybe even earlier if you think he could handle the workload. But he ran very well. 4.36 with a 1.51 10-yard split. And if you look at what he did at Georgia his senior year, it wasn't like groundbreaking or anything. Like, he didn't even score high or anything. Like, he had a contested catch rate of a 22. It's not that great for a deep ball threat. He had a drop rate of a 17. So his hands are just complete trash. But if you could clean that up, the kid is so fast. Like, he's just so fast, and he's got that dynamicness in the short field. I don't know if I would be comfortable with the Chiefs taking him, depending on where it is. but he is a guy to watch. Like I could see his name being thrown out. By far, he's not my favorite. Like it's nowhere near it's a my guy or anything, but it's just a name that I think people should watch. Arian Smith could come out and kind of surprise people because he does have like sprinter world-class speed. Like he's got that. And if there's one thing the Chiefs like, what is it?
Speed, baby.
Yeah.
That's what they like. That's also why I had the Chiefs drafting Sam Brown Jr., who's another Miami guy, in my mock draft, just because of pure athleticism. So, I mean, it's literally, can he translate like his absolutely explosive athleticism into consistent on-field production? That's the question, right? Can you do that? Because if he can, Sam Brown Jr. is going to be good as hell in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he's also a guy that you could get in the 5th, 6th round, maybe even as a UDFA. And I think he ranked like top 4 in athleticism in the combine of all these guys. Mm-hmm. And no one talks about him that much. But yeah, man, there's some diamonds in the rough out there, I think, this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of receivers. Like I think Chim Dike out of Florida, 6'1", 196, he ran a 4.34 with a 1.51 10-yard split. I think he could be a guy you watch in the mid rounds. I really like Ja'Cory Brooks out of U of L, 6'2", 184.
Yeah.
He didn't run.
He was a little slow.
Yeah, he didn't run, but dude, if you watch his film, he makes plays. He has a knack for it. I like Ricky White out of UNLV. I've talked about him one other time, 6'1", 184. He kind of ran really slow at the combine and kind of fell out, but he was a technician and somebody that UNLV relied on. I really liked him. And honestly, I've talked about this guy 1,000 times, but I really like him. I think he looks just like Tyreek Hill, and that is Jamal Pritchett out of South Alabama. He's small, 5'8", 175. You're going to run mesh routes, whip routes. It could be like what Kadarius Toney should have been. Jamal Pritchett would be fun. If you could snag him in the late rounds and let him be a kick returner and a punt returner and a guy that just come in and do gadget plays, I would pass out, dude. I like Jamal Pritchett.
Yeah, there's one more receiver I'd like to touch on real quick, and no one's mentioned this guy yet. I actually watched some of his tape, and I feel like that he's kind of on an upward trend as far as his career in football goes. As far as route running, I think he was one of the best route runners I watched.
What's the conference? I'm guessing it.
I don't know what these conferences are anymore, bro.
So it's not like an SEC school then. Okay, never mind. I was going to guess somebody at the SEC.
No, but like the guy I'm talking about is Rock Taylor from Memphis.
Yeah.
So
I think
this
there's
guy,
American Athletic.
Yeah, I know they changed. It used to be like what, Big East maybe.
Yeah, they change it every week.
Yeah, who knows? But no, like no one's mentioned him, and he's a guy that could be projected to 7th round or UDFA. And the crazy part about it is, like I said, he's one of the best route runners I watched. He's good at all 3 levels, especially like intermediate, like a team that wants a lot of intermediate passes or like beef up their 11 personnel, something like that. Like I think he can have an immediate impact, and I mean an immediate impact for a team in the NFL.
A running back. Wasn't he a running back converted wide receiver?
I have no idea.
I think he might be.
The dude, he's 6'3", 215. He put up over 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns as a senior in Memphis. And like I said, man, he's like super polished. Like, and no one talks about him. No one talks about it. Just not flashy enough, I guess. But I think he'll make an immediate impact for a team, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I like him. 2 more guys I'll name. Ty Felton, Maryland. We'll keep an eye out for him. He could go as early as round 2. He ran a 4.37 with a 1.51 and put up a 40-inch vert. The kid is coming on out of Maryland. People are starting to talk about him. And then another one, if he wouldn't have got injured his senior year, I think he's maybe a top 10 this year, and that's Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. I really like him. He looks like he just kind of reminds you like a Randy Moss or something out there. Like he's tall and lanky, and he makes catches, man. He just makes catches, and he can do all special teams. Again, if he don't get injured, I think he hurt his knee, so he's probably going to fall. But I think if he don't hurt his knee, he could have been a top 10, top 12 wide receiver in this class. So, yeah, keep an eye on Torrey Horton. Somebody might take a shot on him.
For sure. What do you want to move it to? We talk about some tight ends?
Yeah, let's go tight ends, man.
Let's see. Tight ends. Everybody knows I kind of like Fannin Jr. I've mentioned him several times tonight. So we'll stay away from that. But like I think another guy that a lot of people aren't talking about because he needs some pretty significant development, but he has like all the intangibles, is Oronde Gadsden.
Oronde Gadsden.
From Syracuse.
Like that
kid. Could be a flex tight end. He'd bring probably immediate value as a mismatch player in the passing game. 6'5", 236 pounds. He ran a 4.6. I don't know. I watched some of his tape, and I thought he was pretty good, honestly. Like, I had him in my top 10, and I think after we collaborated on that, we took him out. But, yeah, man, I think that's one to look at. And then a lot of people aren't talking about Gunnar Helm from Texas, and I think that he has some Kelsey qualities at times and could be a good red zone threat for a team, and he could sneakily be one of the better tight ends out of this entire draft. And so that's probably the two I'd bring up for tight end.
Yeah, I like the Gadsden one. His dad played for the Dolphins, actually, so he's got NFL bloodlines. He was recruited as a wide receiver. He's a converted wide receiver, and that's why he's not going to give you a lot as a tight end, but he kind of, like you said, he's a mismatch nightmare. He kind of gives you the Jordy Fortson vibes, and you see the Chiefs even tried to dip back in that well again this year with Jody Fortson. 6'5", 230. He's got a huge catch rate, huge extension. He was on one of mine too. I mean, he's strictly just going to run seam routes and post and wheels and things like that. He's just going to go vertical. That's what he does, but he could be a potential. He's only 22 years old. He's got decent size, and he is a wide receiver, so you could convert him to that if you needed a wide receiver in certain positions. Steve, I think the one I want to talk about, though, my favorite one, and we'll just do it because it's my guy, is Elijah Arroyo. I can't get enough of Elijah Arroyo.
Yeah. He's fun.
That kid's film, Steve, was my favorite tight end film to watch. And I know that you said it too, but he was some of my favorite film to watch. It really looked like he could fit in seamlessly with what the Chiefs do and how they do it. The way he would run after the catch, the way he gets open on scramble drills. When Cam Ward would leave the pocket, he would find a soft spot, make himself available. He did that actually in the All-Star game at the end of the year. He caught a nice touchdown on a scramble play from one of the quarterbacks. I don't remember which quarterback it was because they switched him 15 times. But either way, I think I think, again, he had a knee injury back in 2022, and I think he actually missed a knee injury in 2023. So he's had double knee injuries. But, dude, he's got soft hands, and we've seen with last year, Eric All out of Iowa, he had the same issues, even broke his back, and you've seen the Bengals come up and take him like round 3, round 4. So it wouldn't surprise me if Elijah Arroyo is not off the board by round 3 and maybe dips himself into round 2, although I would think that's pushing it a little bit. For
sure. You have anybody else on tight end before we move on to offensive line or something?
You know, tight end is just, in my opinion, this is not a very deep tight end class. We've talked about Jalen Conyers a little bit. You mentioned Oronde Gadsden, who I kind of liked as a matchup thing. I think if you want strictly a good tight end that just comes in and block, because maybe we're missing that. Maybe we're missing that Blake Bell type guy. So maybe you want to bring that in. Jackson Hall's out of Georgia Tech. I think he could do that. I mean, he's not fast. He's not flashy. He's not going to.
He's not going to be a George Kittle, but he's kind of that type.
But he can straight up block.
You know what I'm saying?
And
yeah.
He's a guy to have in 12 and 13 personnel.
For sure. Before we move on to the offensive line, shout out KC Chiefs Productions with the 5 bomb. Let's go, baby. He says defensive tackle, Willie B. Hardigan. This guy was playing good for a while. He was playing good for a while, but then he went a little limp on us.
Yeah.
He just got old, you know?
Yeah, he couldn't.
Ran out of Blue Chew on the sideline.
Yeah, he was getting soft in the hole, like when they were trying to block at the goal line, so it just couldn't work.
Appreciate the 5 bomb and keeping the jokes up, baby. Let's go. Mike, let's move on to offensive tackle or just offensive line in general. How about that?
Right. I'm strictly keeping it to tackle, though.
I want to talk about this guy, and here's mine. Y'all have heard me and Mike talk about this guy maybe once before, but mine's Wyatt Milam.
Yeah, I like him.
Wyatt Milam, this kid, he is going to be a guard, guys. So he played tackle in college, and Mike, you brought up this fact, but he had over 2,000 snaps as a tackle at West Virginia. 0 sacks his entire career. Let up 0 sacks his entire career. His arms are a little short. He's a little small. He's probably going to be a guard.
32 and 1/8 inch arms. 2 inches short.
But let me tell you this. Wyatt Milam has a potential to be a Joe Tooney. And here's why I say that. Wyatt Milam led up 0 sacks as left tackle in college football last year. Well, in his whole career, his entire career. He's going to be a Pro Bowl, if not all-pro guard in the NFL. But he can also be slid out to tackle in a pinch. And it reminds me so much of the guy we just lost in Joe Tooney. And I'm not saying they play just alike, but just the idea that you could have an all-pro guard that could slide out and play tackle for you in a pinch, it makes me love Wyatt Milam. I love the idea of him in Kansas City because we can use all the help we can get in the trenches and with the offensive line, and this guy's dynamic, right? He can do a lot of different things for you. So really, really like him. So that's probably my guy in the offensive line.
I like that one. I'll say we've talked about all these guys, but I do think Charles Grant has got some potential that the Chiefs could look at. They have talked to him. He's got a legit long wingspan. Let me get his exact length: 34 and 3/4 inch arms. So he's actually got the 34-inch arms. Again, his level of competition at William Mary is not going to be. It's not like they're like the Kings of Virginia. Okay, like it's a small school in Virginia. He didn't play a lot of stuff. But Charles Grant's definitely one. I think Chase Lunt out of UConn could also be somebody. I think the Chiefs have talked to him.
He's going to be good in like a zone type offense because he likes to move.
Yeah, he's got good length. He's got good movement skills. I think he's going to be like a day 3 kind of guy. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him. But yeah, he plays a little stiff. He bends a little, at the waist a little too much. He does have shorter arms than what some people do like. But I think overall, it's somebody that you acknowledge that he's played tackle. It's strictly a right tackle though. He's not really played left tackle, I don't think. But he's got over 3,000 career snaps at tackle, and so he has played it. And on his hand placement's really good. I'll just say that. Like, he knows where to shoot his hands. He knows how to get them in certain places on their pads, different things. He doesn't get called for tons of penalties. I think he could do it. And then, of course, we've talked about Jalen Travis a few times. And I actually thought Jalen Travis, Steve, was, to me, watching some of the bowl games, the Pro Bowl, or not the Pro Bowl games, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing, the All-Star games at the end of the year, I thought Jalen Travis had some of the better film I'd seen. Like, he just, in certain times, he just looked really good, and I thought he actually showed more than what people are giving him credit for. Like, I thought he stood up bull rushers a lot. I thought he didn't really give up a lot at Iowa State. I thought he'd done very good at Iowa State. I think he can move better than people think he can. It's a guy I wouldn't be opposed to maybe taking a flyer on late, and he's a monster, 6'8", 339. So I really like him.
Right. And then another guy that I like, and I think a lot of people in our chat like him too, because we took him in a mock draft one time, and that's the guy from Rutgers, Hall and Pierce. He's kind of intriguing. He's just a monster, right? Massive, 6'8", 344 pounds. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done with Hall and Pierce, but I mean, he's got some things.
Yeah, he's huge.
Can't. Yeah. He's got some God-given stuff there. He's just a massive kid, and kind of reminds me of the massive dude from, was it Ohio State last year, the year before? Was it DeJuan Jones? Was that his name? Just like a monster. Yeah, and I don't know. He's interesting. I think you might be able to get him in the later rounds.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you might be able to pull that one off. I like a lot of them. Again, there's not a lot of just straight left tackles. I know the Chiefs have talked to the kid out of Washington State too, Esa Pole. He's 6'7", 319. And that's a guy that they've spoken with. But I think he's got a long way to go.
For sure. Well, let's move it to the defense. Let's knock these out real quick, right? We've not talked about defense hardly at all. We've not ranked our defense or anything like that. So this should be a fun one to talk about. Mike, we'll start with defensive tackle because I think that's the most pressing thing for the Chiefs on defense. Mm-hmm. And I think it's pretty obvious who my guy is on that. I've talked about him 100 times, and that's Alfred Collins from Texas.
Yeah.
I think he's the perfect piece to come in and take care of a lot of different things that the Chiefs like at that position. Alfred Collins is massive. He's like 6'6". He's right at 300 pounds. He's not going to get a bunch of sacks, but he is a valuable piece to a pass rush. Like he's gonna always collapse a pocket. He's going to make who's beside him better, which is amazing for Chris Jones, right? Like to get a guy like that beside him. Always got his eyes up, batting passes, something else the Chiefs love in a defensive lineman. He can stuff the run, great in run defense. He can also kick outside and play on the edge. And he's not half bad at doing that. So that's my guy on defensive tackle. There's a few others I like, but I just have my heart set on Alfred Collins. So what do you got for DT?
Yeah, there's a few guys that I really like at DT. One of them is Jamari Caldwell from Oregon, 6'2", 332. He would be the guy that would come in and be the run stuffer, right? Like he's going to be your Mike Pennell, or just he's not going to be the Turk Wharton replacement. He's going to be the other guy. But Jamari Caldwell, he's got a little bit of he's got some girth. Let's just put it that way. But he's athletic.
Chris Jones girth?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that crazy, but yeah, I think he can play. He can actually line up in different positions, even at being 332. He can line up over things. He's got really good pop. Like when he comes off the line, he will just throw you backwards, like to what it is. He's got a really good bull rush. He's got some spins. He's got some counters. He's got some chop moves he can do in space. The kid's pretty decent. I like him, and I thought he looked pretty good on film. There was a lot of times I was watching Oregon to watch Derek Harmon, and I actually like Jamari Caldwell's film better. So I think he could be a guy that you can look at in like round 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that round, because I'm not for sure how many people are in on him or whatever. And then the other one I kind of liked is a kid out of SMU. Again, this is my second SMU kid because I named the running back Rashard Smith. But Jared Harrison Hunt, 6'3", 290, and he would be your Turk replacement. He's going to be your gap, your gasher. He's just very mature in his rushes, man. He's played for a while, 6-year senior. He gets low. He can beat through double teams. His hands are good. Just everything. I really like it. Like what he showed on film. I really did like it. And also, he had a 14% pass rush win rate per PFF this season. And he had 8 sacks, 34 hurries coming up the middle from the B gap pretty much. So he can play. And I really like it. He put a lot. Go back and watch what he did versus, I think it was Pitt. Go back and watch what he did against Pitt. And I watched him versus U of L because I was actually watching U of L film for Ja'Cory Brooks, the wide receiver. And I kept noticing Jared Harrison Hunt was going after Tyler Shuck every other play. And I was like, this kid's good. So, yeah, Jared Harrison Hunt, not Jarrison. But if there's anything we know Brett Veach likes more than skinny wide receivers, it's guys with hyphenated last names. And so this guy right here should be on your radar.
Absolutely, dude. What's next? Want to go to edges?
Yeah, Casey Lineswad, 6-year senior. He's already 30. He is older. I think he's 24. I think he's 24. Don't hold me to that. He might be 34. It might be the typo.
He's already been through 2 divorces.
Yeah, he's got 17 kids, a couple divorces.
You gotta love the experience.
He is a grandfather.
Let's move on to DT, or defensive end or edge rushers. This guy's not necessarily my guy, Mike, but this is somebody that nobody's talked about, and I feel like he's a total fit for a Spags defense. That's Jared Ivey from Ole Miss. The kid's 6'6", 274. He's going to thrive, and he's going to be an immediate impact on a 4-3 defense. He had 16 sacks.
Yeah.
The kid can get it done. He's not the fastest guy in the world, right? But for his size, he actually reminds me of Tuli Tuipulotu.
Yeah, Tui Tuipulotu.
Yeah, that's who he reminds me of a little bit. But he played, excellent competition. He was in the SEC, obviously. He was a basketball recruit coming out of high school, so that's intriguing too. Knowing that he's that big, and he was playing basketball. His 40 times, he ran a 5-second 40, by the way, guys. So he's not fast at all. But for his size, that's still moving, I suppose. But I just think that he fits in with that Spag style, like set the edge, defensive end. And no one, I don't know if I've heard anybody mention him yet, to be quite honest about it. And that's somebody that I could maybe keep an eye on around, say, round 4. If he falls into round 4, round 3, round 4, maybe the Chiefs go with that prototypical, let's get the big guy that can set the edge. So, yeah, keep an eye on Jared Ivey.
I like that one, actually. I've talked about Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA.
Yeah.
I've talked about him time and time again, so I won't talk about him anymore. But there's another couple dudes that I really like. One is a guy out of Central Arkansas, and he's more of a smaller guy. That's David Walker. He plays edge. He can play outside linebacker, but do not be mistaken by this dude's size. He can flat out get after the passer. He is insane. He had 37 sacks. Okay, 37 sacks, 17 quarterback hits, and 97 hurries over the past 3 seasons. Again, you could say, well, it's Central Arkansas. But when he went to the Senior Bowl, he destroyed people. He had PFF's highest graded edge defender from Division I. All of Division I last year, it was David Walker, 94.4. Okay, so he could flat out play. He went to the Senior Bowl. They had him lining up at edge. They had him lining up at defensive tackle at his size, and he's not that big. He's only 6 foot, 267 pounds. 267 pounds, Steve. And this kid was playing defensive tackle and winning reps. He was a monster. They could not block him. It was insane. So I really like David Walker. I just don't know if he's going to be big enough, although he's not that far from a Mike Dana. The other one I really liked, another Oregon guy, and that's Jordan Birch. He used to play at Michigan State. He's 6'6", 295. He lost some weight. He moved out to the edge. He used to be a defensive tackle. So he's kind of like Chris Jones. He can go inside, outside. I thought his pass rush looked really good. He had a 16% pass rush win rate last year at being the first time he's ever played edge on a consistent basis. On his true set pass rush win rate, an 87 is what PFF graded him. The kid's flat out awesome. Go back and watch his game versus Maryland. Again, I was watching Taj Felton or whatever his name, Ty Felton. I was watching Ty Felton. Kept noticing Jordan Birch kept blowing everybody up all game on the interior. So it was Tua's little brother he was beating up on. So, yeah, Jordan Birch, that kid can play. He had 10 sacks this year, 20 hurries. I really like Jordan Birch. If the Chiefs were to draft him in round 3, I'd be ecstatic. I think he's worth that pick. I really like everything about him. He's got great size, 6'6", 295. Jordan Birch is definitely a my guy.
Yeah, you've been on him for a minute now. So
love Jordan Birch. I think he reminds me a little bit, Steve, of the guy, and I said this before. He reminds me of the guy that was really good that played with the Patriots at doing stunts. That's how he got all of his sacks, and then he went to the Falcons last year. And I think he's a free agent right now, but I can't. His name's slipping my mind. Yeah, I can't really think of it.
Well, before we move on and go to, I want to go to corners next. I think we'll go to corner. Pete decided to bring this up. Mahomes is not 850 to 1 to win MVP. Okay. So I was like, damn, Pete, were we that bad? And I went and I looked it up. You know what it is? He's a plus 800. Okay. So sorry that we were off by 50, Pete.
He was 800 to 1, huh?
Damn.
but were you just guessing off the top of your head?
Thanks for keeping me in check. Appreciate that.
Sam says Birch is a top 50 pick. Are people that high on him now? Because I've not really heard people being that high on Jordan Birch. He could be coming on lately.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. He's really good.
I like him.
Shout out KC Chiefs Productions and Willie B. Hard again with the one gifted freaking membership. Let's go. If you got that membership, make sure to thank him in the chat. Appreciate the support, my man. Mike, let's move to corners real quick. We'll keep it rolling. We ain't got much more time tonight, but let's keep it rolling.
No, corners will be the last one we do probably.
Yeah, and we don't care about them safeties and linebackers. We don't care. Y'all heard me mention Darian Porter earlier. I think that could be somebody the Chiefs could target in like the 3rd round just off of pure athleticism. 6'4", 100 and I think, he's about 200 pounds. So really good size and length, and he's running a 4.3. Just crazy athleticism. He was kind of a late bloomer. He was a wide receiver converted to cornerback. So, I mean, he's still learning a lot of the basics, and he was still very, very good at Iowa State. So that's one. I just wanted to refresh you guys on that one because I do have just weird hunch about him. And also, as far as corners go, I think you guys are familiar with Mr. Kobe Bryant from Kansas. I'm a fan of his. I think he's got solid ball skills and instincts and stuff like that. Just enough to make, you have to notice him when you're watching his film. He kind of jumps out at you. It's like you have to pay attention to Kobe Bryant. I just think he's got a natural knack for being where he needs to be and making plays on the ball. Of course, Jacob Parrish, K-State. A lot of people like him. He's been kind of going upwards. I think he's going to be a very good man coverage corner in the league. I do. So I like those two. If there was any other one that I think hasn't really been mentioned a whole lot, it's another Louisville guy, Mike, Quincy Riley.
That's my guy. You totally snaked him from me.
I'm sorry. Hey, well, if it's your guy, that was a segue. Take it over.
Okay, yeah, Quincy Riley, dude. Really like what Quincy Riley offers from U of L. Again, it's saying something when you can kind of just put down the hate of the rivalry in the school, right? And you can say, look, their quarterback's pretty solid.
We are not fans of Louisville Cardinals.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, Quincy Riley is good. He was better in 2023 than he was this year. Don't get me wrong. Like, he really was. But he done pretty well. He only allowed 31 receptions, 3 touchdowns. He had 2 picks this year. He allowed a 73 passer rating. But in 2022, he allowed a 23 passer rating. And in 2023, he allowed a 37 passer rating. He's really good. He's a little bit of a liability in the run defense again. But he does really well. I think it's a guy that you look for late in the draft. I really do. He played pretty well at the I don't remember which bowl it was he was, or which game at the end of the year he was invited to. I don't remember if it was the Senior Bowl or the Hula Bowl. I don't know which one it was, but it was one of them. But he ran really fast to combine. He was a 4.48, 1.54, 10-yard split guy. He was actually 11th in production and 17th in athleticism. And they're projecting him. Zaire line from NFL.com is projecting him to go round 3, round 4. I think that's a little high on him. I would probably put him in like round 5 through 7. But it's very possible because back in 2023, he was good. And his transition and coverage, his hip fluidity, everything about him is really good, Steve. I like Quincy Riley as being a late, I guess mid-round now, if people's that high on him. Another guy I'll say, and then I'll let you give your last one, is Zaw Frazier out of UTSA. It's another road runner, okay? He's 6'3", 185. So he's a little thin at the 185, but he's got great height at 6'3". He plays decently physical from what I see. I do know that a lot of people will talk about that and be like, he's not physical enough, he can't do this, blah, blah, blah. To me, the biggest knock might be the other knock that the kid brought up. He turns 25 this year because he's, again, a fifth-year senior. So that kind of sucks. But he had a pretty good year this year. He was 14th in athleticism at the combine at 6'3", 186. He ran a 4.36 40-yard dash and a 37-inch vert with a 20-yard shuttle of a 4.26, which means in short spaces, he can flat-out fly. He's good in the run game, an 83 per PFF, an 83 coverage grade per PFF, 79 in zone coverage, so he can actually play zone. That's one thing our corners can't usually do is play zone very well. We get eat up on that. But, yeah, he only allowed 1 touchdown. He had 6 interceptions this year, Steve. 6 interceptions on 38 targets. He's a flat ball hawk. If you throw the ball his way, it is getting picked 1 out of every 6 times you throw to him.
That's funny that you're talking about someone good in zone, right? I actually have a guy here that I think is probably going to be a UDFA. But I think
I'm curious.
He could be a sneaky one for the Chiefs. And let's talk about Mr. Kendall Bowler from Florida A&M. So this kid, he was listed on Bruce Feldman's Freaks list.
Freak list, yep.
Okay, because he's just ridiculously athletic. He's 5'11", 190 pounds, right? But he was first-team All-SWAC selection, 23 tackles and 2 interceptions back in 2023, I believe it was. He transferred from Mercer. He clocked a 4.3 4.40. He broad jumped 11, and he did a 4.18 in the pro agility and a 7 in the L drill. He also power cleaned 335 pounds and squatted 530.
That's insane.
So the thing with this kid, if you watch him play, He's got this ridiculous burst, and I think he's going to be good in a zone type defense because he can just close a gap real quick. As far like he's got decent length for being 5'10", or well, I guess he's 5'11", they said. So he's still got a little bit of length to him, like good wingspan, super flexible, can hit a second gear, recovers when he does get behind. I think he's a very, very intriguing one if you want to look into the UDFA market, because I don't think he'll get drafted. If he does, it'll probably be 7th round. But you know how them Chiefs love the 7th round corners.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Kobe Bryant, right?
Yep.
Mello Dotson, his little running mate there in Kansas. I don't dislike Mello Dotson, some of the film I've seen. He's 6'1", 190, I believe, off the top of my head. Good in man coverage. A 60 or a 74 was his grade for PFF, and in zone he rated a 76. His overall coverage grade was a 79. He forced 7 incompletions this year, 10 coverage stops, which was tied top 70 in all the NCAA. His big thing is that he misses some tackles every once in a while, but he's had 2 seasons back-to-back with an overall grade above a 77. So he's got back-to-back seasons at a pretty decent school that plays pretty decent competition. He's only allowed 6 touchdowns in 2 years, but he's had 9 picks in 2 years. He's only allowed 70 receptions in 2 years. So I think he's experienced. He's like a steady guy, right? He doesn't have like great coverage ability. Like he's not so sticky. He's not going to be like that's why he's not being talked about as being like a top guy. But he really does do well in press situations. So with the Chiefs, and we're kind of getting away from that, though, it seems. Like we're not running as much bump and run press coverage and just being very physical. We've gotten away from that over the past few years. Spags is starting to get a little more cute and play a lot more zone lately, if you've not noticed. So I don't know if they're looking
down
for
so tough
this.
for us, you know?
Right. So I don't know, but somebody actually wrote, who was it that wrote this? I thought it was pretty sick. It might have been Trevor Sikkema from PFF. He wrote this blurb about him. Dotson is smooth in his back pedals and shuffle technique, which helps him stay close to receivers and lends himself to playing in press man. While his teammate Kobe Bryant did most of the talking in Kansas's cornerback group, Dotson was more of the silent killer. So I thought that was pretty cool that he's seen what I seen. A lot of people's talking about Kobe Bryant, but Mello Dotson done a lot of work there, and he was kind of like the guy that went under the radar. So I really like Mello Dotson.
Yeah. Kenny says Maxwell Hairston, cornerback. I just want to talk about that for a second. You're looking at 2 UK fans, right? So we saw a lot of Maxwell Hairston. Don't let I'm not saying he's bad, by the way. He's a good corner.
The kid that came out last year, though, that we thought was going to get a little overdrafted, he actually looked good. From Kentucky. Do you remember him?
No. I think Hairston, you got to watch. I can't remember the guy that you're talking about, Mike. That's not clicking. 428 is why Maxwell Hairston's kind of flown up draft boards. But just, you know, people think Nate Wiggins or something like that, right? Don't get too crazy on him, though. You got to watch him. He's like super lean. He's not very durable. I think Kentucky lost him for like 5 games last year with a bad shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. He doesn't have very good strength. He can't redirect anybody. He's not a good tackler. He fails to wrap up most of the time. He kind of likes diving at legs. I think overall, man, he's like a project, if anything, going into the NFL. But 4.28 40, that speed's hard to deny. Okay.
He's good.
And he is a good corner, but I just don't know. Like, I think he's a day 2 guy, and I think that is like the highest you'd want to go on him. Like,
right. So I was talking about Andrew Phillips. Do you remember Drew Phillips last year? 5'11", 190. Yeah. He come on. He actually got taken pretty early. I think the Giants overdrafted him. At least everybody thought they did. He was actually really good last year. Actually, his testing is not as good as Maxwell Hairston, so we'll have to see. I don't know. Again, I don't know if lightning strikes twice and you get back-to-back Kentucky corners to do well, right? So
Man, you got to watch them Kentucky corners.
Yeah,
Lonnie
we're big
Johnson.
Kentucky guys, but they tend
Y'all
to
remember Lonnie
underperform.
Johnson? We even signed Lonnie Johnson here in Kansas City. He couldn't even make the roster. That kid was a monster in college.
Yeah, they tend to underperform. In the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is, but they do. So I would just be leery of Maxwell Harrison a little bit.
If I'm not mistaken, it was who was it? It might have been Mel Kiper. It might have been Mel Kiper who said he had talked to some GMs and Maxwell Hairston was actually getting round 1 consideration.
Oh yeah, and I don't
Which is
think,
a little wild.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I don't think so, but that's just from what I watched in college this year. But I don't watch a lot of college football, but I do watch some Kentucky games. I saw
it's wild that
Maxwell
Brett
Harrison
Veach
play.
said that. It's wild that Brett Veach said that he had 12 guys. Legit round 1 talent was 12, and I said I had 11. Who do you put? Did you put Luther Burden? Does he make your top 12? Like, do you think he makes Brett Veach's top 12 of first-round talents?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I sure
I'm
do.
just. Do you think
I
Josh
think-
Simmons makes that?
That one's questionable, but
Yeah, I think that one's kind of
maybe.
questionable.
So here's my thing. I think that he says 12 first-round talent. I think that probably 4 or 5 of those could be a receiver, which is wild.
Yeah.
Because
Like
if
Ted
you're
McMillan,
going to overall, you have
Travis
to talk about
Hunter's
Travis
in
Hunter,
there.
Ted McMillan, and you have to look at Matt Golden.
I think Matt Golden might
And
be there.
I think
Egbuka.
that Egbuka and Luther Burden are all round 1 grades.
So you're
for
saying
me.
5 out of his 12 could possibly be receivers.
Potentially, absolutely, and I think that could be why he's like, we could take a playmaker. We won't
Egbuka
shy
is
away
falling, though. So do
He
you think
is,
he's
but
still
I
top
don't-
12? You think Egbuka will be a top 12 player in
I
this
think
draft?
I think he's a first round draft.
But do you
pick.
think
I
he's a top 12 player? So
Well,
he
I
thinks
mean,
the top
if
12.
you only have 12 first round graded, then sure, because I think he's a first round grade. Maybe I'm not as harsh on first round grades as you and Brett Veach might have been, but yeah, I would have them there. I think it's very, you got probably 2 running backs, so you take 7 of the 12's offense.
Yeah, and I think
Not talking about, and then we're not talking about Kelvin Banks or
you're not talking
or,
about Cam Ward either, and I'm pretty sure they probably had Cam Ward there, even though we're not going to draft him. See, that's another thing. Like, do you think they probably don't even consider a quarterback? So where everybody else would put Cam Ward there, the Chiefs aren't doing it. So other people could potentially have 17, 18 players, right? But I think for our draft needs, he's got 12.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did too. I think for me, I probably put Genty and maybe Amarion Hampton in the top 12. But I couldn't put Travion Henderson in the top 12. I don't think he's a top 12 player in this draft.
No, he's a day 2 guy.
Right. And so
I think Judkins is a day 2 guy, and I like him slightly better. I don't know. I'm kind
Right.
of back and forth on those two.
Now, look, you're going to have to take a guy that you don't consider a first round talent at the end of the first round. That's just the way this works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Hunter and McMillan and Golden, I'm not sold that Burden and Egbuka would be in my top 12 because I can't, like you said, I can't put 7 out of the 12 just being from 2 positions, especially if you're going to keep Cam Ward or somebody like that. Because I think you would have to put Tyler Warren from Penn State in there. I think he's got to be in there probably, right?
yeah, for sure.
And I think Will Campbell has to be in there. I think that's your tackle. I don't think Kelvin Banks or Mimbu's probably in that list. And if they're not, Josh Simmons can't be. So
yeah, it's a fun exercise, right? Try to figure out where their heads
yeah,
are
to
at.
try to figure out that top
But then
12.
again, you just don't know the little things. Like, are they just not counting any quarterbacks because they're not going there? So you don't know those things. So it's kind of hard to do. Pepe says, "What do you think of Trey Amos? Does he go by Amos or Amos
from Ole Miss.
Yeah, he's like a good press corner, right? Like he's that kind of guy. He's got good speed. I don't think he's like anything crazy, but I have him as a day 2 guy.
Yeah.
I do like him. He's not bad. Like as far as playing, like that press man coverage, I think he can do it. He's got the quickness, got the transition, got good body control, footwork. He's twitchy. Yeah, I mean, he's not bad. I had a day 2 grade on him.
Yeah, he's pretty decent. I think he's probably be in my top 5 corners for sure. He's probably right there. I think I probably have him rated above Maxwell Hairston too, to be honest. I'd probably put Hunter there and Will Johnson out of Michigan, Jahdae Barron out of Texas probably there. And then it's probably between Trey Amos and Maxwell Hairston or somebody like that. Maybe Siobhan Ravel or Darian Reporter, maybe one of those guys. But a lot of these guys are coming off injuries. But, yeah, he's got great size, great movement skills, coverage scheme. He can play both. He can play press. He can play just all over the place. I don't think he's got great speed. I don't think he's very explosive. I think that's what's keeping him out of the top 3 to 4 for me. But other than that, man, I think like his floor is like a CB2 in this league. So if you want like a more than likely I don't want to say this because I don't think it's fair. Jalen Watson is a 100% top tier cornerback 2 in this league, in my opinion. Like, would you say that? You think Jalen Watson's a top tier cornerback 2? Like, I think I'm hard pressed to say there's many, especially the way he played early this year, that's better than him at CB2.
This year, yeah.
So I couldn't say, well, he's going to be better than Jalen Watson right off the bat. I can't really say that. Jalen Watson actually turned into a good football player at corner, but he's got that good potential right there, like instantly. Even though Jalen Watson had it too, coming in as a 7th round pick. So
right. Yep. Well, that's that, man. We appreciate you guys being with us tonight. Do us a favor, hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already. Shout out to everybody who donated and gifted memberships. You guys are the real ones. Appreciate you guys rewarding us for our time here on YouTube. Like we said, it is the depths of hell off season right now. We got a week before the draft, and maybe we can get our heads back above water after that. Should get a little bit more fun, get more Chiefs fans back in the game, baby. They got their heads tucked between their or under their tail. Is that how's it go? In between their legs? Is that what it is? They got that ass spanked in the Super Bowl and they're scared. You gotta get over it. You gotta get back up on there. You gotta get going. Okay. So you guys make sure to share this with a friend. Share the channel with your friends, family, whatever. Let's get this ball rolling. It's gonna be a fun season. This is going to be our 4th season, which is pretty crazy, right?
yeah.
Time's a moving, time's a ticking. But appreciate all you guys. Thanks a lot. Like I said, hit that like button on the way out. We'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.
Hey, y'all have a good Friday.
Yeah, Good Friday. Happy Easter.
Happy Good Friday. How about that?
Let's go.
Get wild.